Okay. So, let's see, where did we leave off? Okay, last time while we were here, we made it to the third step to solving a Rubik's Cube, which is really far. Just curious. I hope everyone got some practice in with working with the Rubik's Cube and maybe even saw some success, whether that's with the UT Cube, this one, or the regular Rubik's Cube. If you didn't, that's completely okay. Again, it just takes practice and time. So try not to get frustrated at all and just keep working and you will see success. And if you already have, then that is fantastic. That's a lot of progress in a fairly short amount of time. So just keep working at it. So we'll continue on I'll start off at the step that we left off at, just to add some recap. But if anyone needs it, I can show the first algorithm to help solve the UT cube. But if nobody needs it, then we'll just continue on with the regular cube. Okay. So we have a regular cube here. I'm going to, again, share my screen. First, actually, I should mix up the cube. Okay, yeah, that's good. And then let me get to second step. Then I'll share my screen. From there, we can continue on. Okay. So, for cube here, as you can see, I solved the first side, just like the UT cube. And then I will share my screen and we will continue with the next step. Okay. So, like I said, on the second day, we are now solving for the second layer. These pieces can be found. The pieces that you will need can be found. It might be hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see my camera at all. If you can, it can be found on these top sections. If you can't, you can see through the image that the pieces that you're looking for are found on the top, and you would orient them to go to the left or right on that second layer, depending on where it needs to go. So in this case, on the top here, that orange and green would need to go to the left, because on a real Rubik's Cube, orange to the left of it would be green, and then to the right would be blue. So if it's orange and blue, then it would go to the right. And these pieces that you're looking for will always be found in one of those three spots, whether that's the top, the right, or the left. So that's kind of nice to know where they are. And that means that you really only need to know 2 algorithms for this section. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing for just now, and then I'll go back to sharing. And if you guys want to mix up your cubes and either get to this section, and if you can't, I will show the algorithm before to help. Actually, there we go. That's good. All right. So I'm just going to explain step by step. I kind of did this the day before, but I'll rework it just in case. Okay. So just like the video showed, we have blue and then we have orange. So this is going to need to go to the left. So I'm going to say out loud the steps required. We have the top counterclockwise, left counterclockwise, the top clockwise, left clockwise, top clockwise, the front here goes clockwise, the top goes counterclockwise, and then the front goes counterclockwise. And as you can see, this ends with the top here. The orange and blue goes into the spot where I want it to be. It went from the top to the left as the algorithm needed it to. Okay. Next, we're going to go for, let's see. Yeah, let's go here. So now we have red and green. This means that we're going to want it to go to the right. So this is the same algorithm that we just did, but it's going to be kind of reversed because now we're going to the right instead of to the left. So with the top, we would go clockwise. The right goes clockwise. The top goes counterclockwise. Right goes counterclockwise. The top goes counterclockwise. The front here goes counterclockwise. Top goes clockwise, and then the front here, goes clockwise. And that will end with the top, that green and red, goes exactly where we want it to be on the right side. The more you work with these algorithms, the more you'll start to understand why they work rather than just remember them. And if you want, I'll share the link again in just a sec. You can look at these algorithms and slowly try to understand them, because if you understand why they work, it makes it easier to memorize them rather than just remembering the steps and then not understanding how they work. So I'll share that link in just a second, but we'll just finish up the steps here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Next, we'll do this red and blue, and this is going to go to the left, so we'll do that left algorithm again. The top goes counterclockwise, left goes counterclockwise, top goes clockwise, left goes clockwise, top clockwise, front goes clockwise, top counterclockwise, and then the front counterclockwise. And then finally, this is going to take 2 steps because it is in the right spot, but it's in the wrong orientation. So I'm going to do the left algorithm first. Up counterclockwise, left counterclockwise, up clockwise, left clockwise, up clockwise, front goes clockwise, up goes counterclockwise, and the front goes counterclockwise. Now I just need to do it one more time to the left. As you can see, orange and green will need to go to the left. Up goes counterclockwise, left counterclockwise, up clockwise, left clockwise, up clockwise, front clockwise, up counterclockwise, and the front counterclockwise. And there we go. Now we have that second layer. So I'm going to share my screen as well as share the link. If you are following along, then go ahead and do this step or move on ahead if you want. And let me share my screen now. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So like I said, this is the third step, solving that second layer. I'll give you guys, let's say, 2 minutes. If you need more, that's all right. But I'll give you guys 2 minutes to try and do the second layer. And then we'll continue on to the next step. Okay, we'll move on to the next step now. Okay, so after you solve the second layer, the next step is you're going to try and get a yellow cross on the top of the cube. The image here shows that there are only four possibilities for how the top can show up from this point on after the second layer. And those four possibilities are: there's a dot, there's this kind of L shape, there's a line, and then there's a cross. Basically, this algorithm is going to move from one to the other to the next and then to the cross. So if you have a dot and you do this algorithm, you'll get that L shape. Then you're going to want to reorient yourself to make sure the L is facing the top left, like how this image shows. Then you're going to do it again and you'll get that line. And then you do it one more time and you'll get the cross. So it's a fairly simple algorithm. And this is the only algorithm you need to know for that yellow cross. And I will now show me doing it. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, we have a line here. So I'm going to do the algorithm one time then. And that one time will give me that yellow cross that we need. So the algorithm says front clockwise, right clockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up clockwise, counterclockwise, and then the front counterclockwise. And there we go. Now we have that yellow cross. So yeah, okay. I'll give you guys, again, I'll give you like 30 seconds. This one's fairly easy to do this step if you're following along. And again, just make sure if you have a dot or if you have this L, make sure that the dot is the L is facing the top left, because if you're not, then it's going to just loop between that L and the dot. So make sure that L is facing the top left, and then you'll just get the line and then you'll get the cross. So I'll give, yeah, I'll give like 30 seconds for that. Okay. If you need more time, let me know, but we'll just continue on here. The next step is the yellow edges. So, bad example. Okay, in this next step, we're going to be switching the top middle, that yellow mixed with whatever color we have, and we're going to be swapping them to try and orient them correctly. Like you can see on this image right here, the orange and the blue are in the correct orientation. If you can see here, this one where it shows green and orange, obviously that's not correct. So that's what this next step calls for. So, and of course, this is the algorithm you'll need to know. This U2, by the way, it just means you do that twice. So you would move the top twice. I'll show that when we do the algorithm. And okay. So when you do this algorithm, what it's going to do is, we'll do it with this one. What it's going to do is it's going to switch whichever one you have facing forward with the one to the left of it. So once I do this algorithm, the orange and the green will be swapped. So the whole point of this step is just thinking ahead and trying to make your life a lot easier. So I'm going to start off with orange, swapping with green. And let's do this one. So the steps for this are right clockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise, up clockwise twice, so 1, 2, right counterclockwise, and then once more up clockwise. And there we go. The green has been now swapped with the orange, and we can continue on. The next step that I'm going to want to do is swap this orange and this red here. And this is the same algorithm again. So right clockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise, up twice, clockwise, right counterclockwise, and then up clockwise. And there we go. The red has been swapped with the orange, and we have one more where we just swap the orange and the blue. So we'll do that algorithm one more time. Right clockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up clockwise, right clockwise, up clockwise twice, right counterclockwise, and then up clockwise. And there we go. As you can see, the middle for each of the cube connected to yellow is now in the right spot. And then the last two steps are for the corners. But I will give you guys some time to work with this one. This one I'll give you guys maybe a minute, minute and a half, just to work with this, because this one takes a little bit of time. And yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the second to last step. This one is probably the most complicated, but it's not too hard once you get used to it. So the concept is, now you're putting the corners in the correct spots, but not necessarily the correct orientation. Orientation meaning that the yellow and the other colors would be facing the correct way. But if they're in the right spot, that's what's important for this algorithm. So the way that this works is, based on this image, you're going to be kind of swapping the 3 of the 4 corners. Whichever one you have on the top right is going to be, it's not going to move, but the other 3 will swap. And of course, I'll show that in practice. So, and this is the algorithm that you'll use. Let me show you that algorithm here. Okay. So you can see here that the orange, green, and yellow are in the right spot. But they aren't necessarily facing the right way. That's not important right now. So we're not too worried about that. As long as they're in the right spot, that's completely fine. But for example, this orange, blue, and yellow isn't in the right spot because the red, green, and yellow are supposed to be there. Same goes for the other pieces. They're not in the right spot either, except for this one, which is why we're going to put it in the top right here. And then we're going to do this algorithm. You might have to do this algorithm several times, but that's completely okay. As long as you end up with them all in the right spot, because eventually they will end up in the right spot. Okay, so let's start off. The up goes clockwise, right goes clockwise, up counterclockwise, left counterclockwise, up clockwise, right counterclockwise, up counterclockwise, and then the left clockwise. And as you can see now, they swapped, and they're actually, two of them are in the right spot entirely. And that leaves these two for the final step, but we'll not move on to the final step yet because I'll give you guys time to do it. But as you can see, the top right here never actually moved because the algorithm never had it move. So as long as that piece is in the top right spot, you won't move that piece, but the other three will. So I'll give you guys some time again to work with that. Maybe a minute and a half should be good. And then we'll move on to the final step. Okay. All right. If anyone needs to, we can stay on here, but if not, then we'll just continue on to the final step, the orienting the yellow corners. Okay. Okay, so only 4 moves for this, but you're going to be repeating these 4 moves a lot. Whatever is in the top right corner is what you're going to be using, and you'll just repeat these 4 moves over and over and over, basically until that top right is fixed. And then there's another crucial step to this that I'll explain in a moment, but we'll just do that here. Okay. So I'm going to hold the cube in the top right with the one that I want to fix. We'll start off with this one, and then you'll see why we're not starting off with this one first, although we could, but we'll start off with this. Okay, so the right goes counterclockwise. The down here goes counterclockwise. Right goes clockwise, and then the down goes clockwise. And then we're going to keep doing that. Right goes counterclockwise, down goes counterclockwise, right goes clockwise, and then the down goes clockwise. And there we go. Now we have the top right fixed. The next thing that you'd want to do before you try and fix this one is you're going to move only the top part here to the corner to the top right, because if you move the whole cube to the top right, you're going to end up with the cube all mixed up, which is not what we want. So I'm going to move only this top section here and put the corner that I want in the top right. And then we're going to keep doing this. Right goes counterclockwise, down goes counterclockwise, right goes clockwise, down goes clockwise, clockwise, and then the same thing, counterclockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, clockwise. Keep going here. And we end up with a fixed cube right here. Okay. And then I'll give you guys some time again to do this final step. And if you guys need me to go back to any steps at all, or are looking at it on your own screen, of course, go ahead. And I'll give another minute, I guess, on that one. All right. Of course, if anyone needs me to go back at all, you can type in the chat or unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm just going to show some other stuff about Rubik's Cubes here. And I posted the link, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so what we worked with today and the day before was a normal Rubik's Cube and that UT cube. But there's a lot of other kind of Rubik's Cubes that you can learn that work similarly, but not exactly the same. This one is pretty similar to the ones that we worked with. This is just a normal Rubik's Cube, but it's a stickerless cube. Some of them get really weird. For example, here's one that's you solve the same way, obviously, but it's now a maze instead of solving by color. Makes things a lot harder. This one's called the mirror cube. This one, again, you solve the same way, except this one solves by shape rather than color. So you can see it kind of messes up the regular cube shape here. See, but I mean, you solve it the exact same way as you would a regular Rubik's Cube. Here. And then there's also this, which looks like a regular old apple, plastic apple, but it's actually a Rubik's Cube that you can solve. You know, there's all these kinds. And then there's other types of cubes, of course. There's the 2x2, 4x4, 5x5. There's this one, which is a nightmare to solve, but I mean, you need to know how to solve a regular Rubik's Cube to solve this. There's a lot of different types of Rubik's Cubes out there. But the first step is to know how to solve a regular 3x3 Rubik's Cube. And once you get that, then from then on, it's not too difficult to solve Rubik's Cubes from then on. So just showing you that by knowing how to solve a regular Rubik's Cube, your options for puzzles that you can solve will grow significantly larger from then on. But of course, like I said, the first step is solving a regular Rubik's Cube. Also, just wanted to show here that there are some people who make solving a Rubik's Cube their profession. Yeah, I don't know if you meant to unmute there. It's all good.
This lady next to me did that.
It's all good. Don't worry. Hold on. Why is this thing on?
I'll unmute. Ashima and friends are demonstrating a little bit more what it's like with the in-person camp. It's a lot more fun when you're around a group of friends and can talk and joke at the same time. So
Yeah,
hopefully in
definitely.
2022, we'll all be together and invite your friends.
Definitely, yeah. I also just wanted to show here that some people make this their profession, where they work. These people know how to solve Rubik's Cubes extremely fast. And this is the current world record for solving a Rubik's Cube. I'll just show this video here if I can. No, I can't, whatever.
Come on, get a sub 5.
I'll show it again, just in case it glitched or anything like that. I can't go into full screen. I don't know why. Maybe, hold on. Oh, there we go. Probably going to show an ad. Yeah, of course.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Come on. No, hold on. Hold on. Okay. Well, you can hear the audio, right?
Yeah, can you hear the audio?
Come on, get a sub 5.
There it is. Whoa. Yeah, that didn't show something.
Okay. Sorry, it's probably very glitchy on your end. I can't really help that. That's kind of just internet Wi-Fi stuff. But I hope you guys could at least tell that it was definitely solved. And in order to do that, the person who solved that Rubik's Cube must have at least known how to solve a Rubik's Cube this way before learning it the far faster way. And I'm sure all of you can learn the way that he solved that Rubik's Cube, but first you have to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube normally. And these are the steps required to do that. Let's see, how much time do we have? 20 minutes, okay. Let's see, what can we do with the rest of the time here? Dave, do you have any input for what we can do for the rest of the time?
Actually, I will suggest something. The fact that you can mechanically make such a thing as a Rubik's Cube is somewhat astounding. And so, in fact, looking at how it's put together is a pretty awesome thing. So one thing to show is if you take a Rubik's Cube and you turn one face 45 degrees, you can then pry out one of the edge cubes. I assume you've done this before, Alex?
Yeah,
Do you want to show
haven't
this?
done much, but yes, let me.
So I don't recommend doing this all the time because it'll make your cubes loose, but certainly don't peel the stickers off and re-put the stickers on. I've seen people do that when they want to solve a cube, and that kind of wrecks the cube pretty quickly because the stickers get all torn up. This is a way that you can solve a cube if you're frustrated, but I would encourage you all to, in fact, take your Rubik's Cube apart and then put it back together. In fact, there's another interesting puzzle about this. First, let's see what it looks like when you take it apart, if Alex is willing.
Sure. Do you want me to take it apart or just move the corner? Because moving the corner is easy. Taking it apart might take me a little bit.
I think if you've got time and you're willing, take it apart and put it together.
I don't mind taking it apart. Actually, give me a second before I take it apart. I'm going to grab another cube. But I'll show the corner turn that he was talking about first. You can do that kind of corner turn here. That's just simple to make it easier to solve if you need it. The stickered version is actually harder to do that on, but it's still definitely possible. Here, it's just a lot tighter. Hold on. There we go. Oops, that's coming off. I don't want that coming off. There we go. Before I take this apart, I'm going to grab a different cube that I'm not too worried about because I don't want to risk possibly breaking a good cube. So give me just 1 second. I'll go grab that. Okay, I'm gonna try and basically take this cube apart. Let's see, been a while. Yeah. No.
If you put it on your table so we can see it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, whoops. So yeah, you didn't show the step. So you just turned it at 90 degrees, you turned it at 45 degrees, and then you tip out the edge piece.
Sorry, I dropped a. Okay, well, there's a piece under my couch. I'll grab that later. I was gonna fix it and show. Actually, I'm gonna grab it. Give me a sec. Just 1 sec. I'm gonna grab that piece and then fix it, and then I'll break it in front of the camera.
See, no fear about turning on your camera. You can see the house and the. No, this is.
Yeah, my mom's now stuck under the couch, but we got the piece, so that's what matters. I'm gonna fix the cube real quick, and then I'll show myself breaking it. Let me put that up. Did I? Oh, I really hope that's not posted.
Can you tilt this?
Well, hold on. I'm fixing it first.
Which one's your camera?
It's facing. One's facing this way. One's facing.
Are you on 2 screens?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I have no idea. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Sorry, just one sec. Come on. I'm worried that this is just gonna explode everywhere. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna work with this.
Good. Is that?
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
using this one. Okay. So I took one corner off here. So from here, the other pieces are pretty easy to take off. We can take off this middle, go for this other corner, and then basically just one by one, maybe keep taking them apart here. Yeah, this is the center of the cube. This is what the internals of the cube look like. Pretty simple, but very well crafted. There's a lot of gray sweater. But this is really all it is to a Rubik's Cube. Just a simple plastic mesh in the center, and the middle is able to turn. And this is why that middle never changes. Because really you're just moving upon these axes here. You're never changing these orientations here, which is why these middles never change. Like the white never is always opposite to yellow. But that's all that really is to a Rubik's Cube. It's just a lot of plastic and a fairly simple internal here. And of course, putting it back together is certainly a struggle, but it's definitely possible. It'll probably take me a little bit. I don't know if Dave wants me to put it back. Yeah.
Well, there's another question about putting it back. If you just put the pieces back together randomly and not where it fits the colors, will you necessarily be able to solve it? What are the odds that you would be able to solve it if you put the pieces back randomly? These are questions that people can discover and play with.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the numbers, but my guess would be it's more than you would think. It's very low chance that you would be able to solve it if you just put them back randomly. Because if you just put them back randomly, chances are eventually one of them is going to be facing an orientation that isn't possible to be solved, as in like it won't end up with a solved Rubik's Cube. And I actually remember having a Rubik's Cube that had that issue where I would have to take pieces apart in order to solve it, because maybe like years ago, I must have, or somebody must have taken it apart and just put it back together randomly, making it unable to be solved. So when I do put this back together, I'm going to probably put it back solved, so that way I don't run into an issue later on where this cube would be impossible to be solved. But yes, I would guess that it would be very low chance of the cube being able to be solved if you just randomly put the pieces wherever you want it to. But if you do want to try this, the thing about stickerless cubes, which is what this cube is and what your UT cube is, this one, these are a lot easier to work with, both in solving and in taking apart. Specifically this cube that we got you, because it's looser than a lot of other cubes, and stickerless just means that the stickers won't rub off or anything like that. The version that we got for the stickered is it's tighter, but it's not terribly tight, to the point where you guys, if you really wanted to, you could take your Rubik's Cube apart. I don't necessarily think you should. It doesn't really solve much, other than if you're just interested in seeing what your cube looks like on the inside. And it's definitely cool to just study, because a fairly simple design leads to such a complex puzzle. But if you guys really wanted to, you could do it with either cube. And that's really about it for the innards of a Rubik's Cube, you can see that the plastic mesh is here. There's a lot of, like, it's what? Should I
Tell him not.
Yeah.
So, get a cheap one, but
If you're gonna
bring this
if you're
one
gonna
next
break your
year.
Rubik's Cube, yeah, don't know how to fix it, because if you don't, we'd like you to bring your Rubik's Cubes to camp next year. So if it's broken, you can't really do that. But that's it for the inside of a Rubik's Cube. You will notice though, if you do take yours apart, you might notice that there's this like grease in it. That's the Rubik's Cube lube that they have, and that just helps make the Rubik's Cube faster. I don't know if your sticker version probably does also have it, but I know that the UT Cube, this one, very much has it and has a lot of it, and it makes it very smooth to turn and mess with, but it also makes it very oily when you take it apart. So just keep that in mind. If you want to, that if you're taking it apart, you're actually removing some of that oil, that lube. You can buy more, but that's what competitive Rubik's Cube players get. So there's really no need to get it if you're just wanting to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube normally. But if you ever wanted to, there is lube that you can buy separately. So just note that every time you take the Rubik's Cube apart, it's going to be gradually less and less. It's gonna solve slower. Other than that, that should be it. Dave, do you have anything else I should
This is a
add?
nice section. Thank you. If students have questions, want to show you pictures of their cube and say, hey, I'm stuck, what do I do here? Certainly at any time, I'm sure they're welcome to send you a picture, send me a picture. Other than that, we're sort of free until our 3 o'clock Mountain session. 3 o'clock Mountain, Sophie is going to probably do more with lines and graph paper. Or actually, no, she might do more. She might show us the calculator. I guess Logos Part 2 is on Friday. So we'll see you at 3. We've got some other games we can look at. So maybe it'll be a mix of some calculator and some more gameplay.
Sounds good. Just also wanted to add before we go, I saw a couple people smiling, solving the Rubik's Cube, and that's great. Just keep it up, and it'll start to become a lot more fun the more you do it. Yeah. Yeah. And if you have any
Cheers for
issues or
Ashima and
anything like
friends.
that, yeah. Thank you all for coming. It's certainly a lot of fun to teach Rubik's Cubes, and it's a lot of fun to see people enjoying solving Rubik's Cubes. And Dave, any final
Not
thoughts?
quite there.
On time?
Yeah. If there are no questions, I will turn it off, but I'll leave it on as long as people are here.
Yeah, and if there are any issues later on where you maybe find yourself in a spot where you can't solve it, or if you took off your cube and can't find a way to solve it, you can always email my sister and I'll see it and I'll let you know if your cube is impossible to solve. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great lunch, and I'll see you all later.